Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU audiobooks. Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Continuing Education, Bachelor's Degree Program, Elective Course, Rural Development, BRDE-101 Rural Development, Indian Context, Block-2, Rural Development, Unit 1 Development. 1.0 Aims and Objectives. The basic objective of this unit is to acquaint you with the concept evolution and theoretical foundations of development. It will also familiarize you with the shift in focus and gradual incorporation of social and human elements in the analysis of development. At the end of this unit, you must be able to understand the concept of development and its evolution, analyze various facets of development, and discuss various theories of development. 1.1 Introduction. Evolution of humanity from simple society to complex society in general and the desire of man to adopt lifestyle from simple to elegant in particular have caused strain not only on natural resources but also on socio-economic and political institutions of the society. The glaring disparities in the world in terms of per capita income, consumption and production in rural, agricultural and industrial sectors of economy have posed serious challenges in front of world community. The ideas of state role in economic and social development have been influenced by the changes taking place in the world. The global integration of economies and the spread of democracy have narrowed the scope for arbitrary and capricious behavior. Taxes, investment rules and economic policies must be ever-more responsive to the parameters of a globalized world economy. Thus a situation has emerged in which the issues and concerns of development are not exclusive domain of official or sovereign state. In present scenarios, state has to perform the role of a facilitator and an actor in the process of development. As a facilitator, it has to work along with international, private and civil organizations. As an actor, it has some fundamental tasks to perform, which are vital for the country or society. In the present unit, efforts will be made to acquaint learners with various concepts and theories related to development. Let us begin by conceptualizing development. 1.2 Development: Evolution of the concept. Development is not a recent phenomenon. It is a continuous process. Humanity would not have reached the present stage had there been no development. It has been defined both as a cause and a consequence of change. A change may be physical, technological, economic, social, cultural, attitudinal, organizational or political. All indicators of development point to some changes at some places or over a point of time. We must note that not all changes lead to development. A change may be either for good i.e., positive, or for bad i.e., negative. A positive change is commonly referred to as development and a negative change is called retrogression. Development should not be confused with change and growth. The evolutionary process of society gave birth to several concepts like growth, change and development, etc. In general perception, growth emphasizes on quantification, change refers to positional shift, and development perceived as a change but in positive, desired direction. A positive change or development may occur naturally or autonomously or may be induced. The pace of development may be accelerated both by inducing a desirable change in a given situation and by properly directing the autonomous change. 1.3 An elements in development. Development from human perspective will be worthwhile only if it fulfills 4 basic conditions. These are as following. 1. It should fulfill basic human needs, the basic necessities e.g., food, clothing, shelter and health care must be available from any positive change. Therefore, all economies, whether they are capitalist, socialist or of mixed type, make provisions of these basic necessities for their people. 2. It should promote human self-respect. Increased availability of basic necessities is not, however, enough. Besides, there must be human dignity in such a venture. Absence or denial of self-esteem is an index of retrogression. It should guarantee human freedom, since servitude in a Y form reflects a state of underdevelopment. Freedom from all forms of servitude and exploitation is a necessary human condition of development. 4. It should generate community feeling. Community feeling provides a sense of belongingness among the members of the community/society/country. Thus, it is necessary that development should ensure these four conditions to become universal. 1.4 Objectives of Development. Having now understood the general meaning of development, you must be ready to know the objectives of development. The objectives of development must include all four basic human elements described earlier. The objectives of development could in brief be: 1. To increase the availability and widen the distribution of basic necessities. 2. To raise the living standard as well as the cultural and humanistic values. 3. To expand the range of economic and social choice for the human population, and 4. Removal of disparities. 1.5 Various facets of development. The growing interest in the area of development has assumed special significance and has engaged the interests of large number of social scientists from different disciplines. Now, efforts will be made to acquaint you with various components of development like economic, political, social and human. It will make you further clear that the main cause of shifts in the emphasis of development have been changes taking place in the perspective of international institutions and in the country/society as a whole. Let us begin with 1.5.1 Economic development. Economic development is an essential factor from where the possibility of development gets a chance. We cannot think about development of individual society or state without economic development. This possibility of development varies in terms of degree and content. The themes of economic development, as pointed out by various economists, move around two central issues: I. Capital formation, and 2. Technical progress. Capital formation refers to the use of productive resources for the constructing new equipments. New equipment symbolize technical progress. In the absence of technical progress, capital formation becomes a sort of accumulation of existing equipments plus new savings. Technical progress or knowledge consists of the invention of new methods or new products, that is, the creation of new mental constructs and the introduction of these constructs into the processes of production in a society. Economists' view is that as productivity increases and income rises, the economy and society change in various ways. For them, economic development is not a matter of substituting new for the old whereupon the change is completed. It is a continuing process. Thus, such perception of economic development was based on the assumption that poor countries are just low-income countries, and the focus was simply on transcending the problems of underdevelopment through economic growth, increasing gross national production and so on. Gradually, economists have realized that the process of economic growth is rather poor basis for judging the progress of a country. It is not, of course, irrelevant, but it is only one factor among many. Such an issue has shifted the emphasis on development in the discipline of economics from development economies to welfare economics. Thus, you can observe a trend in the evolution of the concept from economic growth to economic development to economic welfare. The important factor behind this evolution is the realization that non-economic factors are also vital components of development. 1.5.2 Political development. The concept of politics originates from the Greek polis, indicating both an element of government and similarly the state, or community. All in all, political analysis of Plato and Aristotle portray an important relationship between social structure and political system. For them, politics was a means to establish ideal social order. Regrettably, it was viewed as an utopian or unachievable. Thus, politics was viewed as means which may be employed in the anticipation of generating an enhanced society than the existing one. Today, we can observe the presence of politics in all type of communities and institutions, and even in social interactions. The realization of the presence of politics in every walk of human life may be summed up as they say: man can leave the politics, but politics cannot leave the man. Throughout history, notions of the state's role have shifted dramatically. From centuries, people looked to government to do more, and in some cases a great deal more. But from the second half of the 20th century, the freedom of new states from colonial rule and their gradual democratization have forced the world to look at government, which was accepted to perform some fundamental tasks like establishing a foundation of law, 2. Maintaining a non-distortionary policy environment including microeconomic stability. 3. Investment in basic social services and infrastructure. 4. Protecting the vulnerable. And 5. Protecting the environment. In the academic fields, there was a desire to understand the precise nature of the relationship between socio-economic development and political development. The political scientists have tried to conceptualize nation building in terms of basic processes of development, namely economic development and political development, while taking into account institutional spheres and societal levels in which these processes operate. These two processes, no doubt, have contributed significantly in the development of the nation and society, but at the same time they have advanced disparities in the society. Such a situation led to redefining the state's role. The earlier perception of the role of state in the development of developing countries of Asia, Middle East and Africa as state-dominated development became the object of change because the ground beneath government's feet changed continuously. Generally, it was due to constraints that emerged from international economic crisis, poverty and underdevelopment. It led social violence, crime, corruption and instability, all of which undermine the state's capacity to support development. The erosion of the state's capacity has provided opportunities to non-governmental people's organizations and civil society to act more broadly and try to take the place of the state. In many countries, these organizations have stepped in to address some of the gaps in collective goods and services left by market and by government failure. Today, in most of the developing countries, social issues have become the deciding factors in determining the policies related to economic and political development. The social issues are thus most often the crucial factors in these countries. 1.5.3 Social development. The concept of social development is used to appraise the dynamics of the developing societies. The process of social development can neither be observed nor explained without the help of economic and political development. It is very much interrelated with these two. Social development takes into account all kinds of initiatives aimed to introduce qualitative changes in cultural, socio-economic and political structures of the society. To conclude, social development has been viewed as a process of transformation of a society from traditional to modern one with special emphasis on disadvantaged sections of society. It incorporates significant initiatives to transform traditional socio-economic, political and cultural structures into a modern society. Many have viewed culture as the opposite of development. In this context, it is necessary that culture and development must be built on the fundamentals of human rights with the objective of strengthening cultural diversity and achieving a global ethics. Major reason behind the emphasis on social development programs was that a big section of the society was deprived of the benefits of developmental programs. Poverty, illiteracy, lack of awareness, various health problems persisted in the disadvantaged sections of the society despite government's planned efforts to tackle it since long. In such a situation, efforts were made to relate social development with human rights and human needs. 1.5.4 Human development. It refers to an environment in which people get opportunities to develop their potential to the maximum and right to lead productive and creative lives as per their needs and interests. Human development has been viewed as a phenomenon which enables the people to lead the life as they value. The strengthening of democracy has added this new dimension, human initiatives in the understanding on development. Human development is process of enlarging people's choices. It is achieved by expansion of human capabilities and functioning. At all levels of development, the three essential capabilities for human development are for the people to lead long and healthy lives, to be knowledgeable and to have access to the resources needed for decent standard of living. The scope of human development further goes to essential areas of choice, highly valued by people, range from social, economic and political opportunities for being creative and productive to enjoying self-respect, empowerment and a sense of belonging to a community. To achieve the objectives of human development, necessary measures should be initiated in the form of eradication of poverty and improvement in the quality of life of the poor people. For details, see Unit 4 of Block-2 1.5.5 Human Happiness and Well-being. It has been also viewed that ultimate objective of development is creation of an environment of happiness in society. Social scientists have recently reached the Conclusion that material and non-material factors have contributed significantly in human happiness around the world, and happiness is quite importantly a function of non-material factors. They have used the parameters like economic growth and personal happiness, consumption and objective devices of well-being in the determination of human happiness. They have emphasized that non-material quality of life are among the most important determinants of human happiness. They have made an effort to conceptualize it by establishing indicators related to gross national happiness. It is an attempt to define quality of life in more holistic and psychological terms than gross national product. Gross national happiness via Lewis proposed to be an index function of the total average per capita of the 1. Economic wellness. 2. Environmental wellness. 3. Physical wellness. 4. Mental wellness. 5. Workplace wellness. 6. Social wellness. And 7. Political wellness. This concept of gross national happiness has become the subject of criticism on the ground that it depends on a series of subjective judgments about well-being. A number of non-governmental organizations have also suggested alternative indicators of economic progress. Check your progress. 1. Note: I. Give your answer in the space given below for each question. 2. Check your answer with the preceding text. I. Point out human elements in development. 2. What do you mean by human happiness in the context of development? 1.6 Theories of development. In this part of the unit, efforts will be made to acquaint you with some major theories of development. These are as following. 1.6.1 Economists' approach to development. The basic principle of this approach is that the private property and liberty are the fundamentals of all rational economic orders. In the context of methods, the early economists hold the view that political economy resembles natural science in the universal applicability of its law. The views on development of some leading economists are given below. Adam Smith. Adam Smith launched an attack on the British commercial system in his classic work The Wealth of Nations. Smith argued that the notion that a nation is rich if it has a great deal of gold, just as a man who has gold is wealthy, is unsound, since it is erroneous to equate money with wealth. For him, money is a well-regulated medium of exchange. Primary concern of Smith's theory of economic development was to find ways and means to increase scarce resources. In this context, he recognizes only original factors of production, i.e., labor, capital accumulation and market. For Smith, surplus is crucial to economic development. He recognizes several factors which are both economic and non-economic to explain the increase of the surplus. These are labor, division of labor, capital accumulation and widening of the market, both internal and external, through the promotion of agriculture, trade and commerce. Smith has taken cognizance of both the harmony of social interests and the elements of social conflict that might take place. However, Smith has realized that the existing social conditions have not reached to that stage which can cause an explicit social conflict. Walt Rostow. U.S. economist Walt Rostow, in his historical theory of development, has introduced a scheme of 5 stages of economic growth. His model of economic growth suggests that all countries pass through a series of stages of development as their economies grow. His model was based on the studies of European nations. It implied that the transition from underdevelopment to development must proceed along a series of 5 steps/stages of growth, i.e., traditional society, 2, preconditions for takeoff, 3, takeoff, 4, drive to maturity, and v, age of mass consumption. Rostow described the first stage of development as traditional society. He has considered traditional society not as static in any way but the subject of endless change. Preconditions for takeoff is the second stage of growth, is said to take place when the levels of technology within country develop and the development of a transport system encourages trade. He has defined it as subsistence economy, mainly based on farming with very limited technology or capital to process raw materials or develop services and industries. In the third stage of takeoff, manufacturing industries grow rapidly, Airports, roads and railways are built, and growth poles emerge as investment increases. The fourth stage is the drive to maturity. During this phase, growth should be self-sustaining, having spread to all parts of the country, and leading to an increase in the number and types of industries. During this stage, more complex transport systems and manufacturing expand as transport develops, rapid urbanization occurs, and traditional industries may decline. Rostow's fifth stage is the age of mass consumption. During this phase, rapid expansion of tertiary industries takes place alongside a decline in manufacturing. Many development economists argue that Rostow's model is biased towards a Western model of modernization, but at the time of Rostow the world's only mature economies were in the West, and no controlled economies were in the era of high mass consumption. In addition, its generalized nature makes it somewhat limited. It does not set down the detailed nature of the preconditions for growth. In reality, policymakers are unable to clearly identify stages as they merge together. Like any other model of economic development, it is essentially a growth model and does not address the issue of development in the wider context. You are listening to this audiobook on Audio Learn IGNOU.
Times William Arthur Lewis. During the 1950s, Sir William Arthur Lewis put forward a new theory of development, popularly known as Lewis model, or dual sector model. It explains the growth of a developing economy in terms of a labor transition between two sectors, the capitalist sector and the subsistence sector. The economy of an underdeveloped country has been divided by him into two sectors. These are as following. 1. The subsistence sector. This sector was defined by him as that part of the economy which is not using reproducible capital. It is defined as the indigenous traditional sector or the self-employed sector, for self-consumption within the sector. This sector is typically characterized by low wages, an abundance of labor, and low productivity through a labor-intensive production process. 2. The capitalist sector. Lewis defined this sector as that part of the economy which uses reproducible capital and pays capitalists thereof. It is the modern urban sector. It includes manufacturing, plantations, mines, etc. The capitalist sector is characterized by higher wage rates as compared to the subsistence sector, higher marginal productivity, and a demand for more workers. The dual sector model is a theory of development in which surplus labor from traditional agricultural sector is transferred to the modern industrial sector whose growth over time absorbs the surplus labor, without affecting productivity in rural sector. Thereby promotes industrialization and stimulates sustained development. However, this model is lacking in terms of its ability to suggest measures leading to development. It has many drawbacks in terms of its ignorance towards unemployment, rapid growth of population, competition in the market and various other factors that play decisive role in any economy. 1 June 2002 Max V. Weber. Weber has rejected totally Marx's construction of deterministic schemes based upon theory of historical development in general and materialism as key to the explanation in particular. He has examined several factors which he considered as the preconditions for the development of capitalism. The important factors, as preconditions mentioned by him are I. Geographical, 2. Population, 3. The inflow of precious metals as the primary cause of development of capitalism. He concludes that the factor which produced capitalism is the permanent enterprise with its rational accounting, rational technology and rational law, but again not these alone. Necessary complementary factors were the rational spirit, the rationalization of the conduct of life in general and a rationalistic economic ethic. According to Weber, from the very beginning two opposite attitudes towards the pursuit of gain exist in combination. One is internal, i.e., inside the community. Attachment with tradition, members of the tribe, clan, etc. Forbid unrestricted gain in the society. The other is external, which creates an unrestricted quest for gain from the foreigners. According to Weber, in a productive system like capitalism, profit is the ultimate aim. By spirit of capitalism, Weber means a set of attributes towards the acquisition of money and the activity involved in it. These attitudes are individuals' ideas and beliefs which depend on the individual membership in a particular group of religious sects. Capitalism has always existed but in different forms. In primitive society the accumulation of wealth was based on speculation, but in modern society its basis is rationality. Weber has distinguished capitalistic attitude from other attitudes as necessary evil which is justified as it is an indispensable means to something else. The spirit of capitalism looks upon such activity not as means or a necessary evil but an ethically enjoined end in itself. To earn money is ethical obligation for its own sake. Weber has established an intellectual or spiritual affinity between the spirit of Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, while other religions sanction pursuit of profit when it becomes necessary for the maintenance of traditional standards. The Protestant ethic sanctions unlimited profit. In his book The Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism, he has presented his theory of development. For him, religious ideas are motivating factors for economic development. Weber has tried to provide the answer to questions: why capitalism was a distinctive feature of Western economy, and why the spirit of capitalism had not penetrated into other societies. To seek an answer, he tried to find out that to what extent social conditions were favorable or unfavorable for the development of capitalism of the Western type. He studied many religions which considered acquisition of money as bad and put its sanctions on charity. The Protestantism, on the other hand, did not believe in saving and charity but in reinvestment. He has given the example of caste system in India which inhibits economic progress and explained how religious ideas influence economic behavior, particularly in the Indian society. Weber has been criticized on the ground that he has emphasized only those aspects of religion which are conducive to economic development and has ignored the values which people held. Weber has also not seen the impact of religious ideas on economic development in relation to other structures of a society. He has taken only those facts from the Protestantism which support his statement. 1 June 2003. J.A. Schumpeter and Gunnar Myrdal. J.A. Schumpeter and Gunnar Myrdal are main spokesmen of the institutional approach to development. Schumpeter has made a distinction between development, economic development and social development. By development, Schumpeter means such changes in economic life which are not forced upon it but arise due to its own initiative from within. For him, economic development is so far simply the object of economic history, only separated from the rest for purposes of exposition. He holds that the economic state of a people does not emerge simply from the preceding economic conditions but only from the preceding total situation. About social development, Schumpeter's observation is that historical changes constitute neither a circular process nor pendulum movements. Therefore, the concept of social development should be defined by those two circumstances, together with other facts. Thus, according to Schumpeter, economic development is not a phenomenon to be explained economically, but that the economy in itself without development is dragged along by the changes in the surrounding world, that the causes and hence the explanation of the development must be sought outside the group of facts described by economic theory. He has taken into account many other factors, economic and non-economic, while dealing with development. Gunnar Myrdal has also postulated institutional approach in the study of development, in his 3 volumes of Asian Drama, an inquiry into the poverty of nations. Myrdal analyzes not only the economy, but also social institutions, the political atmosphere, the cultural heritage and the demographic and ideological aspects of Indian society. Myrdal considers that the social system in the South Asian countries, particularly in India, as consisting of a number of conditions that can be classified into 2 parts, 1. Consisting of economic factors, and 2. Consisting of non-economic factors. The economic factors are output and income, conditions of production, levels of living. Those which refer to non-economic factors are attitude towards life and work, institutions and politics. According to Myrdal, non-economic factors in the process of economic development are decisive in these countries. He rejects the Western theories based on economic model, which, according to him, only provide a convenient escape from the fact that attempts to change attitudes and institutions in that part of the world ordinarily meet with strong opposition from vested interests and with other obstacles and institutions. He also holds the view that the structures of the South Asian countries are very much different from those existing in advanced Western countries. Conditions in the advanced countries today are such that unlike the countries of South Asia, their social matrix allows economic development without any serious obstacles. Middle defines development as the process of moving away from underdevelopment, of rising out of poverty. It is sought and perhaps actually attained by means of planning for development, and characterizes underdeveloped country as that where there is a constellation of numerous undesirable conditions for work and life, outputs, incomes and levels of living are low, many modes of production, attitudes and behavioral patterns are disadvantageous, and there are unfavorable institutions, ranging from those at the state level to those governing social and economic relations in the family and neighborhood. Middle has formulated in simple terms the logic of underdevelopment, development and planning for development concerned only with the region of South Asia, and provided a theory of circular and cumulative causation. 1 June 2004 Marxian concept of development. Theory of development has found altogether different treatment in the works of Marx. His theory of societal evolution is very important. The genesis of Marx's evolutionary theory lies in his notion of mode of production. Through it he shows how change in the mode of production leads to changes in the nature of exploitation. A society based on uneven positions or class relations emerges as a result of exploitation of large number of people by a few. This class-based society, because of conflicting interests of the two main classes, i.e., the bourgeoisie and proletariat, undergoes a process of revolutionary change. Taking examples from history, Marx goes to prove how societies have been transformed from primitive communism to modern capitalism, but ultimately it will turn into a socialist mode of production. The Marxist view of development has emphasized on the role of classes and class antagonisms in society. In this system, vested class interests can inhibit overall development of society. The question of poverty in society is seen as a result of exploitation of the poor. Property relations in the society create and accentuate the problem of poverty and development. Since land and other productive assets are privately owned and concentrated in the hands of a few, the problem of inequality remains unsolved. The Marxist view of development is a complex one, allowing for the possibility of progress, or otherwise, depending on the class structure and conflicts, the nature and activity of the state, etc. Any society, divided into class, is necessarily an exploitative one, as the dominant classes appropriate the surplus produced by the working class. 1 June 2005 Gandhian view of development. Gandhi's view of development is based on his understanding of the Indian society, and he focused on the development of the micro-groups such as the village system for the overall development of society. The development of village economy, therefore, becomes central to his idea of development. The model gave emphasis to rapid development of agriculture and small industries. It has emphasized village and small industries from the point of view of production as well as employment, leading to self-sufficient village republics. It has focused on Gram Swaraj and Swadeshi and dignity of labor. He insisted on production by masses, and therefore development of handicrafts became the essential idea of his development model. Gandhian model of development was based on ethics and was directed towards spirituality. The Gandhian idea of development was different from the mainstream economic model of development. The following table, which is self-explanatory in nature, has the differences. Issue resources, Gandhian abundant, mainstream scarce. Issue human image, Gandhian body, mind and soul, mainstream body and mind. Issue emphasis, Gandhian community, mainstream individualism. Issue objective, Gandhian service and sharing, mainstream self-interest. Issue philosophy, Gandhian small is beautiful, mainstream more bigger is better. Issue mechanism, Gandhian enough trustees, mainstream maximization entrepreneur. Issue effect Gandhian, non-exploitative equality, mainstream exploitative inequality. Issue production, Gandhian values in use and exchange, mainstream values in exchange and threat. Issue problems, Gandhian divergent, mainstream convergent. Issue measures, Gandhian quality of life, mainstream standard of living. Issue institutions, Gandhian decentralized communities, mainstream market. Issue human character, Gandhian self-reliant, mainstream dependent alienated. Issue ecological impact, Gandhian enhancement, mainstream destructive. Look at the screen for table content. Check your progress too. Note, I. Give your answer in the space given below for each question. 2. Check your answer with the preceding text. I. What are 5 stages of economic growth as given by Rostov? 2. What do you mean by dual sector model of Lewis? 3. Describe Marxian concept of development. 1.7 Let us sum up. In this unit efforts have been made to acquaint you mainly with the concepts, various facets and theories related to development. Now you are aware that development is a relative concept and involves a systematic and positive change in the life of the people living in a particular area or country. Now it has crossed the national barrier also. Development different from growth has distinct identity, emphasized on better distribution of gains achieved from progress. It encompasses material and social welfare as well as an equitable distribution of economic benefits and opportunities. Now it is clear to you that development has various facets which are socio-economic, political and human in nature. Further on more feature, human happiness has been added in it. This unit has also familiarized you with various theories of development propagated by various disciplines, academicians and political philosophers. Now you can understand that development does not fall in the exclusive domain of economic phenomenon, rather it can be properly understood and explained by the socio-political and human phenomenon. 1.8 Keywords. Development, the overall progress or growth which takes place in all aspects of human society. Growth, process of progress or change from a lower stage to a higher stage of a particular aspect of human life. Retrogression, backward or reverse movement leading to deterioration or less advanced state. Subsistence sector, indigenous traditional sector or self-employed sector for self-consumption with the sector. Thank you, we will see you in the next video.